Burgers seem like the safest choice. Simple, classic, always reliable. But for seniors and families, that trust can be dangerous. Behind the logos, many burger chains hide dirty kitchens, risky meat handling, and inspection failures that put health at risk. For older adults, one undercooked patty can mean hospitalization. Today, we will expose 10 chains to avoid and 2 truly worth it. Starting off at number 9 on our list, Checkers and Rallies, a chain with more health violations than menu items. On paper, it's drive-through fast food. In practice, it's been a drive-through to the health department. Reports show repeated inspection failures across multiple states, with kitchens cited for unsafe food storage, raw meat left out for hours, and cross-contamination that could make anyone sick. A whistleblower in Florida went further, describing prep stations as grease traps with buns stacked on top, where oil dripped onto cutting boards and spoiled meat was still served. Lawsuits keep piling up. Customers have taken the chain to court after getting sick from food contamination. Dirty kitchens aren't just gross, they're dangerous. And the horror doesn't stop there. Think fryers coated in thick black sludge that looks older than the cashier. Soda fountains with mold rings around the nozzles, spraying drinks with more than carbonation. Ice machines reportedly slimy inside, with staff admitting they barely get cleaned. Are those really safe? Wait until you hear this. Pest reports aren't rare. Health inspectors have documented live roaches crawling in prep areas and rodent droppings found near fryer stations. That's not seasoning. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Nutrition? Don't expect a safety net there either. A Baconzilla burger slams down more than 1,600 calories and over 3,200 milligrams of sodium. That's more than a senior's entire daily salt limit in one meal. Your blood pressure doesn't stand a chance. Even ex-workers on staff forums joke about how training basically means learning which fryer basket is least clogged. One described wiping down equipment with the same rag used on the floor. That's not cutting corners. That's skipping hygiene altogether. What's the most disgusting thing you've ever been served at a drive-thru? Drop it in the comments. That's only the appetizer. The next chain serves pest problems with a side of nostalgia. Coming in at number 8, Steak and Shake, where the milkshakes are sweet, but the kitchens are anything but. Once known for cheap burgers and late-night deals, this chain has fallen hard. What used to be comfort food now feels like a gamble with your gut. And here's the nasty truth. Steak and Shake has been hit with multiple shutdowns over pest infestations. Health inspectors in states like Indiana and Missouri have cited locations for live roaches, rodent droppings, and unsafe storage practices. Nothing pairs worse with a burger than the sight of a cockroach crawling across the prep line. Staff have described unsafe prep areas where raw meat sat near unwashed equipment and where cleaning schedules were optional at best. One whistleblower even joked online, "The shake machine got cleaned less than my car windshield." That's not an exaggeration. Want a horror visual? Dead bugs stuck under soda machines, where syrup drips mix with filth to form a sticky brown crust. Customers grab their drinks while insects are practically glued underneath. That's not chocolate syrup. That's pest residue. Food quality has nosedived. Burgers that were once fresh are now often described as thin, dry, and lukewarm. Fries limp with grease, milkshakes watery, and service slowest to a crawl. When staff are stretched thin and training is poor, the first thing that goes is hygiene. You won't believe this one. Some locations even failed inspections for improper refrigeration, meaning meat sat in the danger zone where bacteria thrives. For seniors or kids, that can mean serious illness. Would you ever trust a burger chain where roaches and refrigeration failures show up in the same report? Name and shame in the comments. If roaches in the shake machine gross you out, the next chain will rot your trust even faster. At number 7, Sonic, the drive-in dream that sometimes comes with moldy ice instead of milkshakes. A car hop tray might look fun, but what's inside the cup can be a whole different story. Reports from customers and inspections have pointed to inconsistent safety practices across locations. Some stores are fine. Others? Let's just say you wouldn't want to see what's floating in your drink. Want to sip that, Ice machines in multiple states were flagged for mold growth. Inspectors found black and green slime coating the inside, which ended up melting right into customer cups. That famous cherry limeade, sometimes it comes with a side of fungus, and it doesn't stop at the ice. Prep stations have been called filthy, with sticky counters, unwashed utensils, and fryers filled with weeks-old oil. Staff forums described onion rings tasting like they'd been soaking in fryer grease since last summer. One ex-worker flat out said, "The fryer oil looked like motor fluid." Some locations even failed to sanitize soda fountains, leaving behind syrup crust and mold rings where nozzles should have been cleaned nightly. So when that soda tastes off, it's not your imagination. Food quality is wildly inconsistent too. Burgers served cold, hot dogs looking gray, and tater tots limp with grease. When management cuts corners, customers end up paying with their stomachs. You won't believe what's lurking inside those bags of ice. Several stores were cited for storing bags directly on dirty floors, right next to pest traps. That's a long way from drive-in fun. Before your next burger run, make sure you know the truth. Subscribe now for the real stories chains don't want you to hear. Now picture that mold, but with a gourmet label slapped on top. Sliding into number 6, BurgerFi, the so-called gourmet chain, sued for being anything but gourmet. The brand built its name on all-natural and better beef, but lawsuits told another story. In 2021, BurgerFi faced claims that its patties were not antibiotic-free as advertised. Customers felt tricked, paying premium prices for what was marketed as clean food, only to find out it might not be so clean after all. And the complaints didn't stop there. Safety concerns came up too. Whistleblowers described sloppy prep areas, undercooked burgers rushed out the door, and cross-contamination in some kitchens. When your natural burger is being slapped together on a counter dusted with raw chicken juice, gourmet doesn't mean much. But here's the real deal. Those famous all-natural buns? Customers compared them to clammy sponges. Reviews describe them as slick, sweating oil, and sticking to the wrapper like wet paper. Bite into that, and instead of fluffy bread, you get an oily paste clinging to your teeth. Would you still call that gourmet? Even the presentation screams cut corners. Burgers arrive smashed flat, toppings sliding into a greasy puddle at the bottom of the paper. One customer said, "It looked like someone sat on it before serving." Hardly the Instagram-worthy experience they push in ads. And the lawsuits don't stop there. Another case accused BurgerFi of misleading calorie counts on menu boards. What was listed as 700 calories often packed hundreds more. For anyone watching health or sodium levels, that's more than a small oversight. That's a trap. If you paid extra for a gourmet label, then unwrapped a sweaty, oil-soaked bun, how fast would you demand your money back? Drop your worst burger chain letdown. I bet someone's had it worse. Grease pretending to be gourmet is one thing, but the next chain doesn't even try to cover it up. Here, the oil drips in plain sight, soaking the bag before you even taste the burger. Halfway down the list, Carl's Jr. and Hardies. 2 names, 1 problem. Grease floods and failed inspections. These chains have been dragged through health boards in Arkansas, California, and Florida for everything from unsafe storage to sloppy prep. One report described raw chicken stored right next to lettuce with no barrier. Another noted fries reheated 3 times in old oil until they tasted like burnt cardboard. And the food? Let's be real, it's grease overload. A Hardee's Monster Thick Burger clocks in at 1,300 calories and 92 grams of fat. That's more than some people eat in a whole day. Bite into one and you'll feel it bleed oil straight through the wrapper, staining your hands and the bag. Ever bite into regret? Former staff on forums described clogged drains filled with fryer sludge, leaving the kitchen floor slick with grease. One said, "I stopped eating here after watching a patty fall on the floor, get wiped off, and still land in a bun." That's not fast food, that's reckless. In 2020, an Oklahoma Carl's Jr. was temporarily shut after rodent droppings were found in food storage areas. The inspector called the kitchen an active hazard. Picture grabbing a burger and fries, knowing the bag sat in the same storeroom where mice left their calling cards. Customers, too, have called out the sour smell of rancid fryers and burgers that arrive half-warm, dripping with yellow grease like melted candle wax. That's not a meal, it's an oil spill between bread. Ever gonna trust a place where rodents and fryer sludge share the same space as your burger? Let's see who had it worse. From greasy overload, we shift to a chain haunted by something far darker. A deadly outbreak that scarred its name forever, claiming young lives and leaving a shadow that never left. Number 4 is Jack in the Box, forever haunted by a deadly E. coli outbreak in 1993. That outbreak killed 4 children and sickened more than 700 people across the West Coast. It was traced back to undercooked patties served at multiple Jack in the Box locations. The story hit national headlines. Lawsuits piled up, and the brand has carried that stain ever since. Decades later, complaints about undercooked meat still roll in. Customers describe burgers that arrive lukewarm, pink in the center, and sometimes still bleeding. And yes, these are meals often handed to kids in the backseat of minivans. Can you trust it after that? Former employees have talked about pressure to push speed over safety. One recalled, Managers told us if the line was too long, pull burgers early. People won't notice. That's not fast food, that's gambling with stomachs. And it's not just the burgers. Health inspectors in California and Texas flagged locations for sloppy storage, raw meat sitting next to sauce cups, freezers crusted with ice, and prep counters caked with crumbs and grease. Picture grabbing a burger while knowing the same gloves just handled raw beef. Customers have also complained about food arriving stale, fries soaked in old fryer oil, and lettuce so limp it's stuck to the wrapper like wet tissue. That's not a meal, that's an insult. But here's the real shocker. Despite everything, Jack in the Box still markets itself as a fun, quirky chain. The mascot might make you laugh, but the food safety record is no joke. Still gonna roll the dice on a chain that's been tied to one of the deadliest fast food outbreaks in history? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If history that dark didn't scare you, wait until we hit the chain built entirely on nostalgia. At number 3, White Castle, those tiny sliders with giant food safety problems. The nostalgia runs deep. Generations have grabbed those little square burgers by the sack, especially in the Midwest. But behind the sentimental glow is a kitchen record that looks less like tradition and more like a warning sign. Can these be called iconic? Health inspections at several locations have flagged serious violations. Reports describe raw food stored at unsafe temperatures, slime-coating ice machines, and prep counters left sticky with old grease. Not exactly the legendary slider experience people picture. And here's the nasty truth. Those sliders often sit under heat lamps so long the bun turns stiff, hardening into something closer to cardboard than bread. Customers have compared it to chewing through napkins soaked in grease. Add in patties that shrink into dry little pucks, and nostalgia quickly fades into regret. Former employees have admitted that corners get cut. One said on a staff forum, "We'd recycle old burgers if the rush slowed down. Throw them back on the steam tray, good as new." Translation: you could be eating a reheated leftover without knowing it. And yes, the onions sometimes come pre-cooked in giant bags. The calorie count isn't kind either. A single sack of 10 sliders clocks in at over 1,500 calories, with more sodium than most people should touch in a day. Seniors or anyone with blood pressure issues? That's not nostalgia, that's risk management failure. Would you still brag about a White Castle run if you knew the slider in your hand had been reheated, sitting under a lamp, or cooked near a filthy prep station? Drop your answer below. I bet the comments will get heated faster than the burgers. Now toss out the warm nostalgia and swap it for inconsistency. This next chain charges you gourmet prices, but what lands on your tray feels cheaper, smaller, and far less satisfying. Number 2, Fatburger, the last great hamburger stand that too often feels like the last great grease trap. The name promises fat, and trust me, it delivers. Not in the juicy, indulgent way people expect, but in the oily, wallet-draining way nobody wants. Customers complain of inconsistency. One visit, it's decent. The next, it's a soggy disaster. Ever bite into regret? The prices don't help either. A single burger can hit well over $12 depending on toppings. But what you get isn't gourmet, it's meat sliding around inside a bun that looks like it just crawled out of an oil bath. Many call it cheap quality at premium prices. Better ingredients? Try cheaper shortcuts. Ex-staff stories back this up. On one forum, a former line cook said, "We'd slap on frozen patties when we ran out of fresh. Customers never noticed under the cheese and grease." Another admitted fries sometimes sat under heat lamps for hours, turning limp and chewy before being served. The horror shows up fast when you unwrap one. Buns collapse into soggy piles, dripping oil through the wrapper until it stains your hands and your clothes. The cheese? More like orange glue that fuses the mess. It's not indulgent, it's exhausting. Are you really paying gourmet prices for something that looks like a cafeteria experiment gone wrong? Nutrition isn't much better. A large Fatburger meal can pack over 1,500 calories and 2,500 milligrams of sodium. That's more than your daily limit. Before you even touch dessert. One customer joked online, "You don't eat a Fatburger, you survive it." And yes, people have found raw spots in the patties. Health inspections haven't been kind either. Several locations across California and Nevada were cited in recent years for unsanitary prep areas and unsafe food storage. When even the inspectors cringe, you know it's bad. Paying for nostalgia, or just paying to feel ripped off? If you've had your own Fatburger flop, share greasy war stories. And if you thought overpriced grease was bad, the next chain proves style can't hide filth. Coming in at number 1, Johnny Rockets, the shiny retro diner with chrome booths, jukebox vibes, and kitchen practices stuck in the gutter. On the surface, it feels like a time machine back to the 1950s. Servers in paper hats, burgers wrapped in wax paper, and milkshakes tall enough to impress any teenager. But behind that picture-perfect aesthetic, facilities that haven't kept up with time. Reports from multiple states have pointed to outdated kitchens, dirty prep areas, and equipment that hasn't seen a proper deep clean in far too long. Customers and staff alike have shared horror stories. Sour smells wafting from shake stations, grease caked so thick on grills that it peels off like burnt wallpaper. And here's the real shocker. Some locations have failed health inspections for exactly those reasons. In one California branch, inspectors cited unsafe food storage and poor cleaning standards. In another, employees admitted milkshake machines weren't fully cleaned, leaving behind a sticky residue of spoiled dairy that mixed into the next batch. Think about it. You order a chocolate shake, but it comes with a secret splash of last week's milk. Still hungry? Ex-staff on forums have described cutting corners just to keep up during rush hours. We'd serve burgers off grills that looked like they hadn't been scrubbed in days, one admitted. Another wrote about condiments being left out overnight, ketchup crusting over, while staff shrugged it off as fine. So who still calls that iconic? For a chain that sells nostalgia, the illusion falls apart once you step behind the counter. The jukebox tunes can't drown out the smell of spoiled dairy or the sight of grease-slick counters. The retro vibe is only skin deep. What's underneath is much harder to stomach. After all that, are any chains left that actually deserve your trust? Now moving towards the first actual recommendation, breaking the bad streak. Five Guys, the rare chain that actually earns its price. Here's the difference. No mystery backroom. No suspicious prep behind swinging doors. The kitchens are open. You can literally watch your burger being built, from raw patty to toasted bun. That alone sets it apart from the chains hiding behind grease-stained walls. And this is what safety looks like. The ingredients are fresh. The beef isn't frozen. The toppings are sliced daily. Even the fries come from real potatoes, not frozen blocks that taste like fryer sludge. One health inspector in Virginia noted that Five Guys stores consistently scored higher than national averages, a rare compliment in the fast food world. Sure, it's pricier, but when you're watching an employee scoop raw potatoes into the cutter and drop them straight into peanut oil, it feels justified. You're not guessing what's in your food, you're seeing it. Ever notice the massive bags of potatoes stacked by the door? That isn't a marketing trick. It's the real supply chain. No hidden freezer, no vacuum-sealed bricks of meat thawing under hot lamps, just fresh, visible food prep. But here's the real shocker. Five Guys has faced far fewer lawsuits and safety violations compared to giants like McDonald's or Burger King. It's almost boring in that sense. No scandals, no E. coli disasters, no moldy ice machines making headlines, just solid, safe burgers. And humor helps too. Finally, fries that taste like potatoes instead of fryer sludge. No ketchup crust, no mystery oil clinging to the paper bag, just hot, salty fries that actually crunch. Is Five Guys perfect? No. Some complain about calorie bombs. A double bacon cheeseburger can top 200 calories easily. But at least you know what you're getting. Transparency beats fake gourmet slogans any day. So yes, this is the slice of the burger world you actually want your doctor to find in your diet. But believe it or not, there's one more chain with an even tighter reputation. And let's end this video with In-N-Out, the chain every other burger place wishes it could be. Here's why. No frozen patties, no mystery meat, no greasy bags hiding half-burnt fries. In-N-Out has kept the same simple playbook since 1948. Fresh beef, hand-cut fries, and a kitchen system built on rules so strict, managers are trained like surgeons. Now that's consistency. While other chains quietly lowered standards, In-N-Out doubled down on quality. They never froze their beef. They never switched to pre-cut fries. Even the lettuce is crisp and shredded in-house, not from slimy plastic bags. Health inspectors in California have repeatedly praised their spotless kitchens, a rare sentence in the fast food world. Customers notice. Families drive for miles, seniors trust it for a safe lunch, and younger fans love the secret menu without worrying what's hiding under the bun. You don't need to peel back the bread with suspicion. No surprise slime, no half-raw meat. In-N-Out has stayed scandal-free while others fought lawsuits, recalls, and pest problems. No moldy ice stories, no E. coli flashbacks, just steady, boring safety, and boring is exactly what you want when you're feeding your family. Ever tried their animal-style fries? Sure, they're a sodium bomb, but at least you know the cheese sauce and onions were fresh that day. Compare that to fries sitting under heat lamps elsewhere, turning into rubber sticks coated in stale oil. So here's the big question. Why can In-N-Out keep it clean while billion-dollar chains fail? Is it discipline? Is it culture? Or is it simply that they care more than most? Drop your answer in the comments because plenty of other chains clearly don't. In-N-Out hasn't tried to reinvent itself with fake gourmet branding. No slogans, no gimmicks, just burgers, fries, and shakes made the way they should be. This is the slice you actually want your doctor to find in your diet. Don't let let a sloppy burger chain gamble with your health. Subscribe now, and I'll show you which places are safe, clean, and actually worth your money.